Unitarian Universalist Congregation. I'm Natalie Shaw, Director of Communications here at River Road. If this is your first time here in person, we welcome you. We hope you'll stop by the welcome table out front so we can get to know you and get connected. For those watching live on YouTube, please feel free to join in the chat with our online host. If you're watching this at a later date and have questions, please visit our website to learn how to connect with us. Today, young adults are welcome to gather in room 32 at 11:30 for a small group ministry experience. Lunch is provided. We continue to host Flow on Wednesday nights. This week, from 6:30 to 8:30, will be a hybrid session about divine encounters. We have also added a class to discuss the UUA Common Read, Social Change Now by Deepa Iyer. Please register on Realm for both events. Details for all of our programs and upcoming events can be found on our website at rruuc.org.
We begin our time together by lighting our chalice. the chosen symbol of our faith, with these words by Reverend Maureen Killoran. Love can transform the world. Love is the aspiration, the spirit that moves and inspires this faith we share. Rightly understood, love can nurture our spirits and transform the world. May the flame of this chalice honor and embody the power and the blessing of the love we need, the love we give, the love we are challenged always to remember and to share.
Good morning. I'm wearing my new brace today. Woohoo! It means I have 2 matching shoes for the first time in months. And they are both mine, like the right size. So, let's all enjoy being on our feet to the extent that our bodies will allow us this morning. And let's sing. Sing, I woke up this morning with my mind. Y'all got to match Cliff's energy next time.
This morning's prophetic voice is about Theodore Parker. Theodore Parker was a Unitarian who lived in the 1800s, and he wrote part of the story in his biography. He talks about when he was 4 or 5 years old and living on his family's farm, and the neighbors and other neighbor kids and he were playing outside, and they saw a little turtle sitting in the stream. And this turtle was just minding its own business, trying to get some sun, as turtles do. But the other boys got out sticks and started to taunt the turtle, and they were even going to try to hit it. And Theodore just knew that that was not right. Something stopped him. Something made him stop the other boys. Something just seemed very wrong. He looked again at the turtle, quiet, peaceful, enjoying the summer day. Had the turtle ever done him any harm? No. Was the turtle so different than himself? No, not really. He was a creature on this planet, too. Slowly, he took everyone's sticks and walked home, thinking about what had happened. When he got home, he talked to his mom, and his mom said, she listened to the story and listened especially carefully when he talked about how something inside of him stopped him from doing harm to that turtle. And she said, Theodore, that force inside of you was your voice of conscience. Always pay attention to it. Always follow what your conscience tells you. It's your moral compass that points you in the right direction. And if you honor your conscience, you'll never go wrong in this world. Now, Theodore Parker grew up to be a Unitarian Universalist minister. In fact, one of the greatest leaders our faith has known. He was so inspired by his mom, he became a champion of the defenseless who needed defending. He was an abolitionist throughout his career, his whole career. He not only preached about anti-slavery, he helped fugitive slaves who made it to the Boston area through the Underground Railroad. He even helped to raise money for John Brown's slave revolution. In 1863, he was inspired by Ralph Waldo Emerson's Divinity School address in this chapel that you see here. It's now called the Emerson Chapel. It's in Harvard Divinity School. And that's where he became part of the transcendental community in Concord, Massachusetts. Around the edges of this chapel now are painted the words of Theodore Parker. See if they sound familiar to you. I do not pretend to understand the moral universe. The arc is a long one. My eye reaches but a little ways. I cannot calculate the curve and complete the figure by the experience of sight. I can divine it by conscience. And from what I see, I'm sure it bends towards justice. So many people quote the moral arc of the universe bends towards justice as purely Martin Luther King Jr. And we know now that he had that influence of Theodore Parker, a Unitarian minister. He also influenced some words that Abraham Lincoln used. Parker often said that democracy was government of all people, by all the people, for all the people. Lincoln unfortunately took out the all part, that universalist part that we're so used to, in his Gettysburg Address. But Parker really did mean all people because he believed that in order to have a true democracy, it needed to be truly for everyone. So, yeah. So our Unitarian roots teach us these things all the time. Theodore Parker was Unitarian, but he put his faith into action pretty much every day. What can you do to put your UU faith into action just this week? How will you UU? And now, children and youth are dismissed to their classes.
What a week. Sometimes I don't know where to start. I think about the things that I see on the news, the things I've experienced in my own life, the things that are happening in the world, and I just go, oof. What from that do I pick out for Sunday? And I can't pick because all the things are happening all the time. For the closest time in my life, I think, except for maybe during the Bay of Pigs, we are on the precipice of war. And not the good guys. And that's frightening. That's terrifying to hear that we would be the enemy. I think about the things that are happening in Minneapolis, knowing that several of my UU colleagues are preparing to go to Minneapolis for a clergy solidarity presence, and that some of us are advised not to go for our own safety. And that makes me sad, and it makes me angry, and it makes me frustrated. And part of me decided, I don't care, I'm going anyway. And then a beloved colleague gently put her hand on mine and said, friend, you and I can't run. We need to stay home because we both have mobility issues. But we will find other ways to participate. We will find other ways to resist, to support our colleagues, to support our neighbors, to support our siblings. And on this MLK weekend, I think, oh my goodness, now more than ever, we should be doing something. We should have been doing it yesterday. We should be doing it in October. We should be doing it every day, but now more than ever, it is front of mind. Last night, I spoke at the UU Church in Arlington, Virginia, and I shared with them a prayer. And I think for us this morning, I want to share it again. Please join me in this moment of prayer or reflection. Holy One, we gather in memory of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., wondering what he would say to us now. What would he tell us about the hatred erupting across our nation? About a president who vilifies immigrants and refugees, who weaponizes fear against the most vulnerable? What would he tell us to comfort us as we think of Renee Good? Taken from us too soon, another life lost to violence. Dr. King knew this darkness. He faced hatred that threatened his family, that burned crosses, and that bombed churches. Yet he insisted, darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. So we ask, give us his courage to meet hate with love, his vision to see the image of God even in those who oppress us, his strategic wisdom to know when love means sanctuary, resistance, and protection of the vulnerable. Help us remember that love is not passivity. It is the most durable power in the world. May we refuse to let this moment, these times, make us less than human. May we cut off the chains of hate. May we build the beloved community Dr. King dreamed of, knowing that our freedom and our oppressors' freedom are bound together. Grant us hope. Grant us strength. Grant us love. Please join me for a moment of silent reflection, after which we will sing together the meditation on breathing. One of those acts of love that we do every week is the sharing of our treasures so that we may continue to support the work of justice, the work of love inside and outside our walls. We do so mindful of the fact that we draw water from wells we did not dig, and we pick fruit from trees that we did not plant. And this is as it should be, so long as we dig and plant for those who come after. If this is your first time visiting us, please feel free to let the baskets pass you by. Your presence is your gift to us. To learn more about how we share our financial treasures and how we do our work, please visit our website. You may also give at the website. You can give by text. To do that, the text to give number is 73256. So you text RRUUC and the amount you'd like to give to the number 73256. You'll receive a link to complete your donation. Thank you for sharing your time, your talents, your presence, and your treasures. This morning, I have for you a message in two parts, with music in between. The first part is the words of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King from Loving Your Enemies, a sermon delivered at Dexter Avenue Baptist Church in 1957. It begins with a Bible quote. Ye have heard that it hath been said, Thou shalt love thy neighbor and hate thine enemy. But I say unto you, love your enemies, bless them that curse you, do good to them that hate you, and pray for them which despitefully use you and persecute you, that ye may be children of your Father which is in heaven. Matthew chapter 5, verses 43 to 45. Probably no admonition of Jesus has been more difficult to follow than the commandment to love your enemies. Some men have sincerely felt that its actual practice is not possible. It is easy, they say, to love those who love you. But how can one love those who openly and insidiously seek to defeat you? Others, like the philosopher Nietzsche, contend that Jesus' exhortation to love one's enemies is testimony to the fact that the Christian ethic is designed for the weak and the cowardly, and not for the strong and courageous. Jesus, they say, was an impractical idealist. In spite of these insistent questions and persistent objections, this command of Jesus challenges us with new urgency. Upheaval after upheaval has reminded us that modern man is traveling along a road called hate, in a journey that will bring us to destruction and damnation. Far from being the pious injunction of a utopian dreamer, the command to love one's enemy is an absolute necessity for our survival. Love, even for enemies, is the key to the solution of the problems of our world. Jesus is not an impractical idealist. He is the practical realist. I am certain that Jesus understood the difficulty inherent in the act of loving one's enemy. He never joined the ranks of those who talk glibly about the easiness of moral life. He realized that every genuine expression of love grows out of a consistent and total surrender to God. So when Jesus said, love your enemy, he was not unmindful of its stringent qualities. Yet he meant every word of it. Our responsibility as Christians is to discover the meaning of this command and seek passionately to live it out in our daily lives. King then went on to talk about the how. That we must develop and maintain the capacity to forgive, that we must recognize that the evil deed of the enemy neighbor never quite expresses all that he is. He talked about how the meaning of love shouldn't be confused with sentimental outpourings, and how we must not seek to humiliate our enemy, but to win his friendship and our understanding. Think of that what you will. And then finally, he says, now with our moments left, let us turn from the practical how to the theoretical why, and ask the valid, the vital and most valid question: why should we love our enemies? Because this is an important question. I would say the first reason, and I'm sure Jesus had this in mind, we should love our enemies is this: to return evil for evil only intensifies the existence of hate and evil in the universe. And somewhere along the way of life, somebody must have sense enough. Somebody must have morality enough. Somebody must have religion enough to cut off the chain of hate and evil. And this can only be done by meeting hate with love. For you see, in a real sense, if we return hate for hate, violence for violence, and all of that, it just ends up destroying everybody. And nobody wins in the long run. And it is the strong man who stands up in the midst of violence and refuses to return it. It is the strong man, not the weak man, who stands up in the midst of hate and returns love. Some time ago, my brother and I were driving from Atlanta, Georgia to Chattanooga, Tennessee. He was driving the car, and it was late at night, and for some reason, most of the drivers were discourteous that night. They just didn't dim their lights as they approached our car. Everybody was forgetting to dim their lights that night, and my brother got angry, and he said, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to refuse to dim my lights the next time a car comes along this highway, and I'm going to keep my lights on high in all of their glaring outpour. And I looked up and I said, wait a minute, don't do that. For if you refuse to dim your lights, there will be a little too much light on this highway, and it may end up in destruction for all of us. Somebody will have sense enough on this highway to dim their lights. And maybe here we find an analogy to the whole struggle of life. Somebody must have sense enough to dim their lights. Hate begets hate. Force begets force. Violence begets violence. Toughness begets toughness. And it is all a descending spiral ending in destruction for everyone. And so, Jesus is right. Love is the answer. The other point is this, that we should love our enemies because hate damages the personality and injures the soul. So often we talk about what hate does to the hated person or to the hated group, and we think of the damages that we find in the hate process as it moves toward the object of hate. But so often we overlook the fact that hate is as damaging to the subject of hate as it is to the oppressor. Hate damages a white man in many instances more than it damages the Negro, for it does something to the personality. It does something to their soul. And this is why I say that our struggle in the United States today is not merely a struggle to free the Negro, but it is a struggle to free our white brothers from their fears, from their prejudices, from their hates, and from all of those attitudes that damage and destroy their souls. All the psychologists have been telling us this, haven't they? They tell us today that we must love or perish. And they tell us that there is something about hate that disrupts the personality, that makes for inner conflicts and guilt feelings, and thereby develops neurotic personalities. But long ago, Jesus already realized this. Jesus realized that hate does something to the personality of the hater. And so the individual who hates can't see right. The individual who hates can't walk right. The individual who hates loses his sense of objectivity and his sense of values. And so for the individual who hates, the beautiful becomes ugly, the ugly becomes beautiful. The true becomes false, and the false becomes true. The evil becomes good, and the good become evil. The person who hates loses the power of rationality and objectivity. And so, again, Jesus was right. Love your enemies. Bless them that curse you. Pray for them that spitefully use you, because hate can destroy the personality. We've just heard Dr. King's words about love as the most durable power in the world. The choir has given us space to breathe, to let those words settle. And now I need to be honest with you about the question I suspect many of us are asking. Does this actually work? Can love really be resistance when ICE agents are separating families? When unarmed people are being shot? When our president vilifies immigrants and refugees? When violence erupts in our streets? If we're honest, part of us hears King's soaring rhetoric about love and thinks, really? Now? In times this dangerous? I gotta tell you a story. When I first became a UU, I was attending the First Unitarian Church of Philadelphia. I was a worship associate, and I was sitting with my new minister, and he said, I want to do a service about love. How do we love someone who's unlovable? And I said, you just do. And he said, even the abuser? I've seen people do awful things to people, and I can't love them. And I said, well, my understanding of this faith, of universalism, is that everyone has within them the spark of the divine. And you've heard me say, even if it's really, really, really little, it's there. So I must love. I choose love. I don't like the behavior, and I may not like the person, but I love them as a being. So he said, okay, fine. Want to do a service with me? So I told the story of my brother, Harry Douglas Simon, my oldest brother. Doug was riding his bike home from work on March 25th, 1998, and was killed by a drunk driver. Not just the drunk driver who maybe had been at his daughter's wedding and celebrated a little too much. Someone who had more than 30 prior DUIs in 3 states. And the question was, do you love that man, Connie? And I said, yes. I don't love him. I don't like him. If I saw him about to be hit by a train, I don't know if I'd pull him out of the way. But I love him. Because how do you love someone who's unlovable? You just do. And that story is one of the core stories of my faith. Fast forward to where we are now, with what's happening in this world. Is it possible that we can just sit back and love as resistance? Sometimes I want to fight back. Sometimes I think, well, a few well-placed hits on an ICE agent might be what's needed. Maybe it is by any means necessary. And then I think of Dr. King. And I struggle. Which brings us to Malcolm X. Malcolm challenged the civil rights movement with a question that still haunts us today. Is nonviolence actually moral resistance, or is it just accommodating oppressor comfort? When he said by any means necessary, he wasn't being nihilistic. He was insisting on the right to self-defense. He was refusing to wait for freedom to be granted by those who benefit from our oppression. He was saying that asking people to love those who are brutalizing them might actually be asking them to participate in their own destruction. And here's what we need to understand. Malcolm wasn't wrong to answer that question. It's a valid theological and ethical challenge. The question isn't whether Malcolm was wrong, it's whether King's answer holds up under the weight of our current reality. So let's be clear about what King's love actually was. It was not be nice and hope that things get better. It wasn't passivity dressed up in pious language. The Montgomery bus boycott wasn't about loving feelings. It was economic warfare wrapped in moral clarity. The sit-ins weren't polite. They were deliberately creating crisis to force confrontation. When King talked about agape love, he meant something more like this: I refuse to let you make me into what you are. It's love as maintaining your own humanity while dismantling systems of oppression. It's loving yourself and your community enough to resist while refusing to become an oppressor. But does it work? That's the question that we can't avoid. King's nonviolent resistance worked in a context when there was some shared moral framework to appeal to, some public opinion to sway, some democratic institutions still functioning, however imperfectly. What happens when those conditions erode? What happens when the moral arc of the universe feels like it's bending toward authoritarianism instead of justice? Here's what history shows us. Violent resistance against a more powerful state apparatus often fails militarily and provides justification for even more brutal crackdowns. The question becomes not, does love work better than violence, but what kind of resistance is actually strategic, sustainable, and doesn't destroy the resistors in the process? Which brings us back to the social change ecosystem that we've been studying together. King's love-centered resistance worked because it was part of a larger ecosystem. There were lawyers building legal strategies. There were people providing safe houses and resources. There were journalists telling stories. There were ministers who couldn't walk or run, supporting from the sidelines. And yes, there were people who did engage in armed self-defense, protecting their communities when necessary. The question isn't love or force. It's what is my role in this ecosystem right now? Some people's calling is to maintain moral clarity and refuse to become what they're fighting. Others' calling might be more confrontational disruption. The movement needs both. So what does love as resistance look like today? It means sanctuary churches providing refuge. It means know your rights trainings. It means bail funds and legal supports. It means fighting in ways that build power rather than just venting rage. It means building parallel systems of mutual aid and protection when official systems fail us. It means strategic action guided by what will actually keep people safe. Love does not mean don't resist. Love does not mean don't fight back. Love doesn't mean trust the system. Love doesn't mean wait patiently. But I'll tell you, here's what kind of troubles me about preaching love right now. Might my words actually demobilize the people who need to act? Could I unintentionally be creating an excuse for passivity? Maybe. Maybe. Some of you might hear that. But that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that this is a version of love that means we can't just sit back and be nice while people are being harmed. This is about preaching a love that does more than sit back and ask our oppressors to get comfortable. This is about more than just preaching a love that mistakes patience for strategy. This is way more than that. King's love says, I will not let this system make me less human. I will not respond to dehumanization with more dehumanization. I will resist with every tool available, and I will remember that the people I'm fighting alongside are worthy of my protection and my dignity. When I was a little girl, my mom used to say to me, don't let them turn you into one of them. And I didn't understand that for a long time. Probably not until I was an adult did I get it. And it's a lesson that I think we UUs need to learn sometimes too. We get a little caught up in our own self-righteousness, talking about those people, those awful Republicans, those awful this, them, they. Aren't we being the thing that we say we despise so much? By hating? By lumping whole groups of people together? By generalizing? Oh yeah, we can be kind of self-righteous sometimes. Don't become the thing you say you hate. So maybe for us, the answer isn't choosing King or Malcolm. Maybe it's a both and. Maybe what we need is Malcolm's insistence on self-determination and self-defense and King's insistence on maintaining moral clarity. Malcolm's by any means necessary and King's understanding that means and ends are inseparable. They needed each other in their time. Malcolm made King's demands seem moderate, giving him negotiating power. King gave people an alternative to Malcolm's more militant approach. The movement needed both voices. The ecosystem was stronger because of their tension. Some of you may remember the 1966 Ware Lecture, where King spoke to the General Assembly of the Unitarian Universalist Association. And his message to us was, don't sleep through the revolution. And we talk all the time about how, oh yeah, King wanted to be a Unitarian. He really was a Unitarian. He thought about it. Yes, he was inspired by many of our Unitarian and Universalist ancestors. Why didn't he stay with us? Because he didn't think we had enough fight in us. That's tough to absorb. So, my friends, each of us now has to discern our role in this moment. Look at our ecosystem framework here. Some of us are called to be healers, maintaining everyone's humanity through pastoral care and compassion. Some of us are called to be disruptors, willing to take greater risks and speak uncomfortable truths. Some of us are builders, creating the systems and structures we need. Some are caregivers, ensuring that no one is left behind. And if you don't know where those references come from, you need to sign up for Beth's class on social change now. The question Dr. King leaves with us isn't, does love work? The question is, what does effective resistance look like that doesn't destroy us in this process? And his answer, maintain your humanity, act strategically, build beloved community, refuse to become what you're fighting, might not be the only answers. But it's an answer worth considering. It's an answer that has transformed history before. Dr. King didn't ask whether love was easy or comfortable. He asked whether it was powerful. And the question for us, nearly 70 years later, is not whether we can love in times like these. It's whether we can afford not to. Because the alternative is becoming the very thing we claim to resist. The time is now. The work is ours. Let's do it. I wanted to bring in some audience participation in this service, in this message. So I'm going to invite you all to join me in a responsive reading that addresses what I just talked about in the message. It's called We Answer the Call of Love by Julia Corbett Hemeyer. I'm going to read the part that's in Roman type, and you're going to read the italics. Magic, huh? In the face of hate, we answer the call of love. In the face of exclusion, we answer the call of inclusion. In the face of homophobia, we answer the call of LGBTQ rights. In the face of racism, we answer the call of justice for all races. In the face of xenophobia, in the face of misogyny, we answer the call of women's rights. In the face of demagoguery, we answer the call of reason. In the face of religious intolerance, we answer the call of diversity. In the face of narrow nationalism, we answer the call of global community. In the face of bigotry, in the face of despair, we answer the call of hope. As Unitarian Universalists, we answer the call of love, now more than ever. Amen. More than ever. Please rise now in body or spirit as you are willing and able, and let's sing that commitment with We Are Answering the Call of Love. Hymn 1014. We are answering the call of love and doing so as we live our values in the world. Here are some things that you can do. You can join the Earth Ministry today at 11:30 for a presentation by Phil Webster, who is the environmental issue lead for the UULM-MD Legislative Ministry. Phil will give an in-person look at the Legislative Ministry's environmental priorities for the 2026 session of the Maryland General Assembly. In person, it will be in room 23 and on Zoom via the link that was sent out in yesterday's worship email. I will say this again. If you are unfamiliar with the social change ecosystem that we've talked about, please check on Realm. You can be part of, we're having an abbreviated session as one of our flow events. You can sign up for that and learn what we're talking about. There is a rule for everyone. And now we'll close our time of worship by extinguishing our chalice and reciting together these words of Elizabeth Sell Jones. Together we say, "We extinguish this flame, not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again." And the walls came tumbling down. May we leave this place remembering that love is not weakness, but the most durable power in the world. And may we reach for our role in the ecosystem of change that will bend the arc of the universe toward justice. Go in peace, go in love, carrying both Malcolm's fierce insistence on dignity and Martin's transforming power of love, knowing we need both for the work ahead. May it be so. Blessings.